Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome to the Sunday chat, sort of. No, I'm not dressed. I'm unlikely to get dressed. I'm more likely to go back to bed. I did the work on the car yesterday, which I suffered for in a way I sort of expected. Dodgy knees, achy legs, bad back. That was expected. But then later on I got quite a thumping headache across here and down the sides of my nose, and it was new. It was something I hadn't sort of felt before. And my breathing became laboured, I suppose you could call it. I couldn't take that deep breath that is very satisfying, like a sigh. I got to, and that was it. So my breathing was a bit up the swanny as well. And in the end I went on to bed. I watched some of the snooker, fell asleep, woke up, watched some more, and I went on to bed, not thinking much more about it. I didn't take any painkillers or anything. And I woke up at 12:15 with the most violent cough that would not stop, and I ended up being sick. I was just exhausted, and that's not logical. The amount of work I did should not have made me exhausted. A bit achy, yeah, which it did. Anyway, so I tried getting back to sleep. I wasn't happy in bed. I kept coughing. In the end I came downstairs, sat in my comfy chair, and managed to get a bit of sleep. But I was still awake again at 3:30, and then the cough started again. And obviously you don't cough when you're asleep, do you? And I thought I need to sort of look into this, and the difficulty breathing wasn't here. It was here. It was like somewhere between my nose and the top of my throat. So we had a look online, tappity tap, like one does. That's sinuses, which also are here, and this, that and the other. And there is such a thing as sinusitis. There's lots too many U's and T's in there, which is like when they're infected or inflamed. And then you sort of think, well, that can happen, you know, bacterial, fungal things, heavy cold, flu, all that sort of thing is going to do that. I haven't got any of them, not that I know of. And then you sort of think, well, what else can do that then? It suddenly dawned on me. This started when I did the decking boards. So what's different about that then and say working on my orchids? What's different is it's outside. What's outside this time of year? That oak tree. What is that oak tree doing at the moment? It's chucking heavy duty pollen down almost constantly. My car is covered in yellow dust, and it's like gritty. You can feel it. It's not like a total powder, not like baby powder. And I thought, well, obviously working outside, I've been breathing that in. That would irritate sinuses and the back of your throat, all that sort of stuff. And then I thought, well, what did you know? Yesterday I spent a long time out in the front, and that's directly under the tree. The tree actually overhangs that section of the property. That's why the car's covered in yellow dust, and next door gets covered as well. And I was out there for some time messing about with the car and then sweeping up the carport and everything. So I think I got a bit of an overdose of that pollen, and maybe my sinuses are a little sensitive to that. But the cough did me in. And if you look at some of the symptoms of problems with sinuses and stuff like that, a cough is in there. It's on the list, along with headache, which we've got now, a buster all across here. So I'm not doing anything today. What's out here is suffering, because I should have watered out here probably Friday, and I haven't, and I'm not doing it today. So it'll be tomorrow when I get round to doing everything out here. They'll have to wait, tough. We're unlikely to get sun today, it's probably going to be cloudy. We had some rain yesterday which I filmed, you saw the video perhaps, and that lasted not much more than an hour, just over about an hour and a quarter. Pretty steady rain for about an hour and a quarter, it's nothing like it. It needs to be more like a day and a quarter, and there hasn't been any more since. You know, weather forecast says we could get some more rain on and off a bit during the week, but it looks as though it's going to be a bit further up country, a bit further inland, and the south coast looks like it'll miss out again. Feel sorry for the old farmers and everything. This is their planting and germinating time, you know, when they need the warmth of the sun and the moist soil to get things going, and they're not getting it. So this is not coffee, this is paracetamol. That's another thing. I got a busting headache. I'd take some painkillers, which I don't normally do. I always think if you've got a headache, there's a reason for it. Get rid of the reason. If the reason's stress, then go somewhere and de-stress. Go for a walk in the woods. Get rid of the reason. Unfortunately, the reason is incredibly difficult to get rid of in this case. So this is paracetamol, which took me a while to look up online what painkiller can I take with the two types of tablets that I'm taking. And this is the only one. Now I can't take tablets, so these are soluble. But they still taste revolting, but it's got to be done. So somebody's pressed the deactivate button and I'm not working so good now. It'll all come back, I'm sure. Now, the problem we had with the leaf blower, I've decided that that leaf blower shouldn't really have a problem. It's not old enough and it hasn't been used for enough hours. So I'm going to have a go at taking some of the covers off to where the motor is and things, and see if I can see anything obvious that's wrong. If this area is burnt out, then that's what's wrong. But there could be a loose wire or something. We'll have a look at it. And the one thing I have discovered is the socket in the kitchen that I was using is faulty. Why is that? Well, I've got the toaster, it's a pair of sockets, pair of outlets. So I've got the toaster plugged in one, and the other one I use to charge up the pressure washer batteries. Because most of the stuff to do with the pressure washer is done in the kitchen, you know, filling up jugs and stuff like that. So I put that there, and I noticed I unplugged that to deal with the leaf blower and plugged the extension lead in. Now the extension lead, you don't know whether it's on or not. If you want to know whether it's working, you plug something in and turn that on, which is what I did, and that was the leaf blower, and it didn't work. When I was trying to sort out the fuse on the leaf blower, I was plugging the leaf blower direct into the outlet. Unfortunately, the leaf blower hasn't got any indication that the power's on. You pull the trigger and it works, or it doesn't in this case. So anyway, when I'd finished mucking about, I put the charger back in the socket and turned the socket off. Later in the evening, when I went out to take my tablets, the green light was on that charger. That outlet was turned off, but there's power coming through. So there's something wrong with that outlet there. I mean, I can turn the electricity off and just undo the two screws and lift it forward, and again see if there's anything obvious. I mean, that could be a wire touching something it shouldn't, but effectively with the switch off there shouldn't be any current. There obviously is. So I've unplugged that now, and I won't use it until I get something sorted out. But it's made me think that perhaps I should try taking the leaf blower to bits. You know, I mean, the moving part is the motor. Effectively, a leaf blower is not much more than a hoover, or a hoover in reverse. It's just a motor with a fan, you know, and then various guides and this, that and the other. They don't move. So it's a motor and a fan. So we'll have a look and see if there's anything obvious. Oh, and of course the other thing is I've got a slight toothache. And apparently that's one of the symptoms of this problem with sinusitis and the effect of pollen, especially heavy. Oak tree pollen is one of the heavier pollens, As I said, you know, you can see it in the air. It's that gritty and heavy. It's not like some of the dust type pollens that, you know, they're almost invisible. This stuff is very visible. And now that we've had a load of rain, it might have washed a lot of it down to the ground, but that doesn't mean to say there's no more. I think its peak period is March, April. We are into May now, and the oak was early this year, so maybe that rain has sort of washed it down. But anyway, between the cough and the heavy breathing, or in fact I wish it was heavy breathing, the trying to heavy breathe and not managing it has taken everything out of me. I've had enough. And there comes a time when even your sort of responsibilities just have to go out the window. I just need to rest and let everything go. So that's what I'm going to do. I might try going back to bed, but the trouble is, once you wake up and this starts buzzing round and thinking about things you need to do and what's coming up and stuff, it's a job to get it to shut down again. It shuts down naturally at your normal bedtime, but in the middle of the day not so much. But I'm sure I can fall asleep in the chair. I've been doing it since 12:15. So it's not lack of sleep, I'm getting sleep, although it's at strange times and sometimes strange places. But anyway, we shall finish these painkillers. Yuck. Oh. Yeah, clear water stained with coffee off the cup. Looks like paracetamol. It takes the stains off my coffee cup. I wonder what it does to your insides. Anyway, things coming up. Things coming up. We will have another end of project final video this middle of this week, Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. That will be plant 4, which was the Pleione. Now that had several changes on the way, because we started out with a couple of bulbs that I bought last year at Wisley in the spring in flower. So they, you know, those, bringing those back into flower this year was me. You know, they were my bulbs. I didn't get them from outside and bring them in. So we'll have a look at that and see how we got on. It did get some friends during the project from my friend Helen. Yeah, so we'll have a look at that. What else have we got to do this week? I don't think there's anything on the list that sort of is due. We'll have to see how we get on. I'm hoping that it's highly likely that those beech buds are going to break and start showing some green soon. And if so, then there's a bonsai repot to do. That'll be on the other channel. I'm going to have to feel an awful lot better to do some more decking boards. I'm not doing them while I feel like this. One, I won't get any enjoyment out of it, and I'll just make the aches and pains even worse, so I'm not doing that until I'm ready. There's no big jobs in the garden or anything that I would want to undertake. Saturday coming is Wessex Orchid Society meeting. That's a Zoom talk, so somebody's got to lug all the kit out to the car, then lug it from the car into the hall and right up to the far end of the hall, set it all up, sort the meeting out, get the guy on the screen and everything, and then at the end we've got to pack it all up again, lug it all out to the car, and when I get back here, lug it all back in here. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Didn't get much help with it at all. In fact, I don't normally get any help with it at all. I've had people say, has this got to go out to the car? Yeah, it's all got to go out to the car. And they'll pick up something and take it on their way to their car. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, so that's it's a Zoom talk by somebody from the Eric Young Foundation. You've heard me mention that. The Mathers Foundation I mentioned a lot more because I can go there. The Eric Young Foundation I would like to go to, but it's on the island of Jersey, which is only just off the coast of France. So you're looking at a flight or a pretty long ferry ride to get there, sort of thing. And yeah, I've never been. So anyway, it's a guy from there who's doing the talk. So that will be interesting. I just hope it'll be a good one, because the last Zoom talk we did, which was the first one, the actual number of people that came to that meeting was very low, which makes it quite a costly meeting, because we've got to pay for the talk, we've got to pay for the hall, yeah, and the only income that comes in against that is the catering and the raffle. Well, if there's not many people there, the catering and the raffle will be down. So it ended up being quite a costly event last time round. So hopefully we'll get some more people in this time. We had a chat about why we thought the numbers were so low, and the trouble is there was too many variables to actually emphatically say this is why it was. Was it because it was a Zoom meeting? Well, it could have been. Was it because it was the first sunny day for about a month? And people thought, I'm not sitting in a flipping dingy hall all afternoon, let's take the dog for a walk in the forest or on the beach or something. So it could have been the fact that it was a first nice day, or let's do a bit of gardening sort of thing, I don't know. So we never found out, we just had a chat about the possibles. So we'll see, if we get extreme low numbers this time, that's 2 in a row. I think we can safely say that perhaps the Zoom presentations are not that popular, in which case we need to keep them low. Because as I say, they're not cost effective at all. Plus we have to pay the annual fee for Zoom, because the free use of Zoom doesn't give you long enough for a presentation. So yeah, that's quite an expense that we might need to do without. Who knows? What else is coming up? My car MOT at the end of the month. At least now I haven't got the hassle with the flipping reversing sensor going off all the time. At least that's fixed. But yeah, there was a, what do they call it? There was an advisory last year about a bush cover or something or other on part of the front suspension or something or other. That was advised, you know, sort of thing. Try and get fixed as soon as possible, sort of thing. I've had advisories run on for 2 or 3 years, and they just keep, you know, they just basically leave them there. Well, we told you last year, we'll tell you again this year. But hopefully I don't get too much, because my rent's due at the end of this month as well. And then at the beginning of next month, my flipping insurance is due on the car. It's just everything comes quite dramatically at the same time, sort of May and June. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll win the lottery. I feel sorry for people that actually live in hope of that happening. Because it's disheartening to have the hope that something's going to happen and it just never does. I'm not like that. I just sort of think, if I win anything, they'll tell me. I've won a few small things. I've won a few prizes, which was some nice chocolates. I've won some free entries, you know, where they sort of give you a free go, but nothing big, nothing major. If there's something really major, then the next video will be a live broadcast from sunny beach somewhere, with an umbrella and a nice drink with an umbrella in and a suntan. So you'll know. I'll let you know. Oh, right, this headache just needs to be got rid of. So I'm going to go and let this work if it possibly can. Thanks for all the members and everything, all the thank yous I usually do. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for supporting the channel in that way, and thanks for supporting the channel by just watching the videos and everything. Don't forget the old thumbs up. Don't forget your hypes first thing Monday morning. I don't think the fact that it's a bank holiday tomorrow makes any difference, but I don't know. I haven't tried it before. So I've used mine for this week, So if I go on tomorrow to use my 3 shiny new ones and they're not there, then I know that it's a bank holiday, so they won't appear till the next day. We shall see. But yeah, typical bank holiday weekend. Now we get some rain, but it wasn't enough. What it's done is freshened everything up because it's washed the dust off, and a lot of that dust I now know is off that flipping oak tree. And a lot of that dust obviously went up my hooter and has not done me any good at all. So I will leave it at that. Thanks for, I know this is short and everything, it's not your proper Sunday. Oh, I know what I was going to do on the end so that we've got some orchid stuff, not just me moaning and whining. I think there's channels that devote themselves to that sort of thing. I don't want to be one of them. I don't want to be not well. I don't like it. It's not normal for me for a start. A few aches and pains now and again, that's just getting old. But yeah, I don't get ill. I'm not a sicky person. And perhaps I'm going to be. I don't know. I have to shut myself indoors with all the windows and doors shut this time of year. Keep out of that flipping pollen. Yeah, Pleiones, that's what I was going to talk about. Are they worth it? Now, you have to compare with orchid genera by type. You have to weigh up the effort and the cost, if there is a running cost, against the benefit. What do you get back from it? So if we start with the cost element of Pleiones, they can stay in their pot for a couple of years, providing there's room for the new bulbs. You get your flowers and that turns into a bulb. And obviously that needs room to swell up to its nice full size. So they should be able to stay in their pots a couple of years unless you cram the pot full. Not leave any room for growth, which is a bit of a daft idea. So you've got that. So there's not a lot of potting type maintenance. The media is, in my case, a pretty standard mix. It's a mix of perlite, which I've got 2 buckets of. I don't think I'm going to run out of that for a while. And seedling bark, which I've got easy access to. Now there is a thing, a little snippet of information in an email exchange. Peter White Accessories, we were talking about sat navs actually, but I'm not going through that. I'm going to make your headache worse. But yeah, and it was mentioned that well, we won't see him after this year, will we? So it sounds like he is going to close the bit. Well, at one point he was going to sell his business on to a young girl who he was training up. She was coming to the shows, doing a lot of the setting up, doing a lot of the serving and everything. But then she got pregnant, so she disappeared off the map. And nobody's turned up to take her place. So I think he might just sell the business as is. You know, this is the stock. This is the website, get on with it, and it'll cost you this amount to do it, sort of thing. I don't know. He may just close it down and sell off the stock and not try and sell it as a business. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I get most of my bark from him. Now I can get my bark from Burnham's. I go to Burnham's often enough to not have to pay for postage. I can pick it up while I'm there. But anyway, so we had the perlite. I buy that online because I can get it free postage from various places, and it weighs nothing. You know, a bucketful is like, it weighs absolutely nothing. And then seedling bark and some sphagnum moss. Now I bought a bale of that, you know, you've seen it, you know, when I've been repotting. And you tear bits off sort of thing and, you know, shred them out like that, put them into soak and everything and use it. And I use torn up sphagnum moss as part of my mix. But then I'm not going to be repotting every year. But you've then got the spreading aspect. Oh, don't start again. Yeah, you've got the spreading aspect. You will get more bulbs, they will multiply. And then you can start doing swapsies, where you've got no cost. You've just got, I've got a couple of spare ones of these. Have you got anything spare that you fancy swapping? So, you know, you can gain more individual hybrids. or possibly species, who knows. So there's that aspect of it, and then there's the care element. Well, you don't need to spend a fortune on heating, do you? So you can scrub that. Quite honestly, they would do okay in an unheated greenhouse or even a cold frame for most of the year down here on the south coast in the UK. But there would be times where both of those individual places could drop down a fair old bit below zero, which I wouldn't want to risk. They'd probably be okay as long as they were dry, but I wouldn't want to risk it. So my problem is keeping them cool enough. They've got to put up with growing in here, or I've got to put them outside. If I put them outside, they will get bugs, possibility of aphids. I've got aphids on one of my maples out there, and they spread the viruses. So I don't want aphids on my Pleiones, so they're staying in here, and they'll have to put up with, you know, I mean, at Mathers they did say, you know, the couple of heat waves we've had last year, it was far too hot in the polytunnel, but with the fans and everything on and the sprinklers, that was as cool as they could get it, and it wasn't cool enough. Nothing died, they survived. So their living conditions are in here until we get to the dormancy phase, when the leaves start going brown and fall off, at which point the pots need to be thoroughly dried out. And I'm thinking of putting them out in the carport, where they will get the low winter temperatures, but they're protected from rain, very important, so they don't want to be soggy all through the winter. They're also protected from quite low temperatures because of the solid structure and the roof, and the fact that the wall that they'd be up against is actually part of the house, so it wouldn't get as cold. So, and if it gets extremely cold, if we get a really cold spell, they can come out here just for a couple of nights or something till they go back. So, and what about looking after them while they're growing then? Well, when they come back into growth, you don't really need to start watering and feeding to any extent. You just need to start getting the media a little moist. Some of them do start growing their new root systems quite early. I had some growing root systems before the flower had opened. You won't read that anywhere. Oh no, the roots don't come till the flower falls off. Yes, they do. I've seen it. Don't need to read, you know, stuff like that. So anyway, you know, a little bit of moisture at that time through flowering until the roots get going. And then you're looking at heavy feed and water, keeping them moist, never dry out, good amounts and good feed right through the growing season. And all you get is leaves, and they're strappy leaves. Where's my pot full? Oh. This is getting tedious. Name that film. Yeah, this is what you end up with. Lots of strappy leaves. I love this. When you get a stalk where the flower was, just pulls out. It would fall off eventually. But yeah, this is what happens. You just get leaves. And quite honestly, I think as a plant, they're quite attractive. They're a nice bright green. They're ribbed. They're not just plain. And away they go. And on this particular hybrid, you get quite a bit of this going on. At the top of the bulb, you get new bulbils that then grow roots. Now, these can just be pulled off and put down in the pot so that they can get into some media. Maybe I'll do that in a week. Maybe. Anyway, so that's what you get in the growing season. But you do have to bear in mind, you also get this. Some of them have pretty big leaves, and that's not as big as they get. Yeah? So you have to make allowances for some space for the leaves to occupy. And then, as I said, eventually the leaf tips will start going brown, and they will die back through yellows and everything, and then they will just fall off. and then the bulb is dormant. So they're not a lot of hard work, are they? Not really. You haven't got staking to do, you haven't got root issues. Well, pretty easy going really. And then you've got the blooms, and quite honestly they're stunning. The colours, the shape, size, no little miniatures and magnifying glass, they're all good sized blooms. Most bulbs only produce one bloom, some produce a couple, most produce one. And the main problem is how long they last. 2 to 4 weeks is not a huge amount of time, because that means for 11 months they're not in bloom. But then there's other orchids like that. They're not unique on that front. I mean, you get the opposites, like some of the cymbidiums that are in bloom for 3 or 4 months. Not all orchids are like that. That's not normal for orchids in general. So anyway, God, that's what that bloke's building over there. So I'm quite happy with the Pleiones. I don't know how big the collection's going to get. They do take up some space. They're not in tiny little pots. They're not mounted. So they do need to be in pots. And you do have this problem with the, they need to stay very cool through the dormancy period, or they may not bloom. So I've got to find a solution to that, which I think I've found okay. So yeah, I'm happy with them. I'm not happy with the cost of some of the individual bulbs. I mean, the red ones over here that are going over now, that was a pot full. That was 2 large bulbs. So I bought 2 bulbs, but they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 shoots, and we had at least half a dozen blooms. Now 70 quid for 2 bulbs sounds a lot of money, but 70 quid for that number of bulbs for next year is excellent value. I could see the look on David's face. I don't think he wanted to let it go. But yeah, that literally here, it's going over now. Take a look. That is the last Pleione bloom for this year. Then there will be none until probably mid-February next year, something like that, maybe even later. They will come into bloom later if I can do the really cold winter dormancy period. They will come into bloom later than they did here. They were too warm in here. When I said about my temperatures, David just looked at me and he said, that's too warm. You'll have problems. You'll have some that don't bloom, or you might get slightly distorted blooms where they're not pushing properly because they're not the right temperature. So we'll try and remedy that. So, right, so that's going to do. Oh, I'm starting to get up. Keep going hot and then cold. So we're going to give it a rest, and we are going to give it a rest. Luckily it's my day off tomorrow, so I haven't got, but I'm going to have to water some orchids tomorrow by hook or by crook. I'm going to just potter around a bit and do some. Let's see how we get on. And I will see you next time, which will probably be Tuesday, for something as yet to be determined. So thanks for being here, thanks for your support and everything. And I know you don't see me like this very often, but count that as a bonus. There's some people are just sicky people. One of my mates from school days, he's a sicky person. He's always got something wrong with him. And I think one of the things he's got wrong with him is the fact that he always thinks he's got something wrong with him. Ow. Right, let's go and get these tablets to take effect and get rid of this headache, because that's just uncomfortable. Polite version. And don't forget the film, particular expression. No, I'm not going to give you any more clues to that. There is a very specific part in a film where an individual bad guy just looks at his, I won't say the word, looks at the other one and says, "This is getting tedious," which it was. and I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.